Hello, I am the many-talented Mr. Jefferson, and today I am here to talk about Dead by Daylight. No, not that one. No, not that one either. The one with the flashing lights and the unforgiving outlanes. Yes, this one. Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical multiplayer game where 4 players play as survivors and 1 plays as the killer in a game of what is essentially tag with extra rules. The players try to fix 5 generators while the killer hunts them down. If the killer hits a player twice, the player drops to the ground, and then the killer can pick them up and put them on a hook. Other players can save hooked players, and players can heal themselves and others back to having 2 hits, and they can stun the killer by knocking over one of the handy pallets that dot the landscape of every single map. The players and killer all have unique bonuses to help them. The hunter can put down traps which will help him locate the survivors and slow them down, and Jake Park has the ability to sabotage hooks without a toolbox. I mention all of this because knowing how to play Dead by Daylight will help you understand the pinball version, because Pinball FX tables based on existing properties do an amazing job of incorporating the story and rules of those movies and or games into how the tables operate. Information that is slightly less relevant is that I showed some footage from the Dead by Daylight dating sim earlier, and I just want to mention that is my second favorite Dead by Daylight game, with the pinball game being my favorite version of Dead by Daylight. The dating sim is genuinely funny and has some great stories to play through, and I highly recommend it. Dead by Daylight itself is decent, but it's not something I really play anymore, but I do know a lot of people who absolutely love it, and I do own my favorite horror franchise killers because just like Pinball FX, Dead by Daylight does a lot of licensing of popular franchises. I have the alien from Aliens in Dead by Daylight, but I also have an Aliens pinball table on Pinball FX3. Chucky just made his appearance in Pinball M about a month after he was introduced in Dead by Daylight, and both games are absolutely amazing at theming their licensed tables or characters in the case of Dead by Daylight. One of my streaming friends plays a ton of Dead by Daylight, and I got him the Pinball M tables for his birthday. I actually would have made a video about Dead by Daylight pinball earlier, but I had to write a grave injustice before I could. You see, that little shit played the game and absolutely destroyed my high score on his first day.
Playtime's over, boy.
And the worst part of it all is that he doesn't even play pinball. He only played this table because he loves Dead by Daylight and it was a gift. And he hasn't let me forget for a single day that he has that high score.
When I say, who's the master? You say, show enough.
He even asked me yesterday if I had beat it.
Who is the master?
And I was forced to say no.
Who is the master?
I also told him that if I ever did beat his score, he wouldn't get a direct message from me. He could expect a whole fucking video about the topic. So, here we are, talking about Dead by Daylight pinball. I really like this table, and the mechanics make total sense if you've ever played the actual game. The only thing I don't like about this table are the hungry outlanes, and I'll talk more about that later. To start off in this game, you either pick Survivor or Killer, just like in Dead by Daylight, and if you are a Survivor, the trait you pick will determine which character you are going to play. You can pick from easy healing, fast repair, easy skill checks, and easy unhooks. On the killer side of things, you are stuck with the trapper, but he also gets to pick a special skill from either having more time for his hurry-ups, double hits, or easy hooks. Generally, you want to pick whatever lets you eliminate your least favorite activity to make it easier to rack up a high score. I personally like faster repair and double hits, but there is also a mechanic on this table where you can carry over certain bonus multipliers if you use a different survivor or a different special ability as the killer than the one that you picked the previous game. So there is actually really good incentive to change your special skills. Between plays. When you begin play, you shoot the ball up and around into a maglock next to the upper flipper. Hitting the ball through the passage will award you a skill shot bonus of 2.5 million, and the ball will loop back around to the maglock for a chance at a second skill shot worth 5 million points. And you can do that with each ball. So practicing this shot is a great way to earn tons of fast points. Hitting that same lane when it's lit during normal play will award a million points and a bonus multiplier. Hitting the same lane when it is not lit will award 100,000 points, and the award will go up by another 100,000 each time you make the loop in quick succession. After the skill shot, various lanes will light up and your goals will be different depending on if you're the survivor or the killer. As the survivor, you want to search each lane for a generator before time runs out. When you locate a generator, you will have to hit the lit lane to repair it until it's 100%. This will initiate a skill check just like when you repair generators in the actual game. The goal is to repair 5 generators, which will then unlock the exit, or in the pinball game, the wizard mode of the table. The killer might chase you during play, requiring you to hit the lit lanes to make enough distance to get away, followed by hitting the lock in the far right lane. He will also be chasing the other 3 characters and can hit and hook them, which will light up the lanes that will allow you to unhook them. There is also a sinkhole to heal yourself when you get hit. You can gain access by hitting the wall in front of it several times. As the killer, your goal is to search lanes until you find a survivor and then begin a chase. The chase will light up random lanes which will allow you to gain distance on the survivor, and when you get close enough, you will then have a chance to hit a pop-up target to cause damage. After the hit, you will continue the chase until you get close enough to hit them a second time. After that second hit, 2 lanes will light up, and hitting those lanes will let you drag the victim closer to the hook until the skill shot lights up. Hitting that skill shot will hook the survivor. There are 4 different ways to achieve multi-ball on this table. One of them is hitting the mini lane to the left of the right side of ramps, and then by hitting the rightmost of the left lanes when the hook is lit. This will activate a ball lock, and once all 4 hooks are filled, a 4-ball multi-ball begins. As the survivor, you can start a multi-ball by repairing all 5 of the generators, and you will get as many balls as there are unhooked survivors. As the killer, multi-ball will activate once the survivors have repaired all of the generators. If you manage to hook all 4 of the survivors, you will then start a special multi-ball mode with 4 balls and doubled jackpots. Multiple hits to the healing sinkhole will open the sinkhole. Survivors can heal themselves and other survivors using this sinkhole, or if there is nobody to heal, it will increase the jackpot as it will for the killer whenever he hits the sinkhole. Spelling out trial activates kickback, and if those are already activated, it will then increase the next point award for a pallet or trap. If you manage to finish the survivor exit mode, the killer exit mode, or the end game collapse special mode, a new trial will begin, and you'll start everything all over again, but with your points. One thing I don't like about the table are those hungry out lanes. They are harsh and unforgiving. They don't like to give up the ball even if you tilt the table. And if the bumpers get a hold of your ball, it's probably going straight into the out lane. There are also a couple of shots that will just beeline straight down the drain. I much prefer to use the upper flipper to hit the inner orbit, because if I hit it with the lower right flipper, the ball will usually travel through the orbit at just the right velocity to rocket out of that lane and go straight between the flippers. It's really the scariest shot on the table. It feels really, really bad to start a chase only to watch the ball hit the bumpers and then bounce back and forth until lazily drifting over to hit the right out lane so perfectly you cannot even fix it with a tilt. And that kind of leaves me feeling bitter when it happens. These actually might be the most unforgiving out lanes of any table I have tried so far. However, I do really like the central maglock and flipper next to the skill shot lane. This is not the only shot you can perform with this flipper, and you will notice that I use the upper flipper to great effect during the search and hook portions of my play. With the right timing, you can either hit the skill shot lane, shoot the ball back upwards through the orbit, or you can hit a pallet blocking the short lane sinkhole, or you can hit the survivor's pallet or the hunter's trap in the center of the table from this flipper. And if you are really, really good, you can even hit the short lane sinkhole using this flipper, but there are far easier ways to make this shot. Like just letting the ball drop straight down from the maglock, doing what I call soft paddling it to steal its momentum, and then flipping it straight back up with the right flipper, which I believe I pulled off a couple of times during this footage. That central maglock is also an easy way to rack up several million points if you just loop the ball, which you really should do just to practice the skill shot. That's over 8 million points at the very beginning of a ball. One of the really cool things about this part of the table is it actually embodies one of the game concepts in Dead by Daylight called looping, which involves a player intentionally getting the killer to chase them so they can run around the same part of the map to waste the killer's time so other players can fix generators, and you can effectively double back after looping on the table by sending the ball upwards. This maglock will only engage under certain circumstances, like hitting that loop. This can actually be super useful if you mess up the upward shot, because you can usually still hit the ball into the loop to reset the maglock and get another chance to hit the ball upwards into the orbit. The hardest shot on the table has to be on the other end of that exact same orbit, but I figured out that if I soft paddle the ball with the right flipper and steal its momentum, it is a much easier shot, and you will see me hitting it repeatedly during this footage. Using the upper flipper to hit the inner orbit shot is also so much safer than using the bottom flippers, because if you hit that loop perfectly with the bottom flippers, there is an excellent chance of the momentum causing the ball to shoot straight down the drain, which doesn't happen with the lesser momentum using the upper flipper, which is why you will see me using that flipper a lot in my best game. It is purely a matter of survival. Dead by Daylight is a fantastic table and another great conversion of a video game into a physics-based masterpiece. I have spent most of my time practicing this table because that little snot-nosed shitbag clowned on me, but I'm kind of glad he did, because Dead by Daylight is one of the harder tables I have played, and now I'm finding that I am actually much better at the other tables I have been playing because of that practice. And I didn't just beat Kuddly, I got 26th place on the leaderboard for this table, and that is a really cool thing to be able to say.
Who's the one and only master?
Not bad for somebody who just started playing Pinball FX 4 months ago. Besides, why hold a grudge when you can absolutely dunk on what now looks like a pretty pathetic score in comparison? I didn't just beat him. I beat his high score by more than he beat my high score, and I almost doubled it. To quote my favorite brutal space dictator, a true victory is to make your enemies see they were wrong to oppose you in the first place, to force them to acknowledge your greatness. And that quote is from the show that my next table review will be based on. In fact, I wrote that review before I wrote this one, but I haven't done my recording sessions yet, and I didn't have a bitter score to settle on that table. Damn you, Devin. To the last I grapple with thee, from hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. That was another Star Trek quote, or at the very least, it's me quoting Star Trek quoting Moby Dick. Have I mentioned that I love Star Trek? Because I kind of love Star Trek. I am the many-talented Mr. Jefferson, and I'm just so happy I could cry. I want to thank my viewers, my subscribers, my channel members, my donors, and all of you who slammed the ball into that thumbs up sinkhole. And a very special thanks to those of you who went above and beyond in supporting my channel this month. And another special thanks to Devin and his tiny whittle score. Devin, please click the link below. Also, get wrecked, scrub. Oh, and also we should totally watch The Last Dragon. It's a banger. I'll see the rest of you in the next video game or pinball table review, or during my live streams most nights at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Until then, toodles. Man, the only thing that could be worse than getting your high score demolished is if it happened on Christmas Eve, and then it took so long to edit the video that you found out on Christmas. That would suck. At any rate, Merry Christmas, ho. I mean, ho, ho, ho.
Excellent score, I suppose.